I'm Natalie and this is James, and this is our home, Zephyr. We have been sailing around the world for the past 4 years, and now we have got a couple of stowaways on board. Meet Flint and Kira, 2 puppy Weimaraners that are joining the adventure. Subscribe and welcome to our channel, Sailing Zephyr. This week on Sailing Zephyr, we make it our mission to do every hike on Stocking Island, situated in front of Georgetown in the Exumas, Bahamas. We have some pretty relaxed days here on the island, hiking and enjoying these pristine beaches with nobody on them. This right here, you can just see the entrance. This was carved out through the limestone to make this kind of snorkeling canal. It was meant for snorkeling. So I don't know if it's because maybe they were planning to put some resorts here and then have like a little snorkel channel. But nothing's come of it. There's nothing around it apart from that hut that I just showed you over there that's beautiful. So I don't know if it's still happening or not, but we're going to go and investigate now. Here we go, lazy river style.
Yeah, this is like a mini lazy river.
Yeah, oh, this is lovely. What does this remind you of? A bit of the Corinth.
This is like the mini Corinth Canal.
In Greece, it really reminds us of that.
So cool.
Yeah, this is lovely. Flint wants to jump in. I mean, you can, buddy. You gotta go swimming. So this we found out about by this app that we have on our phone called NOFORGEIGNLAND, and it's just different cruisers posting different things to do in the area, snorkeling, it could be beaches, and they said you could either go down here with a dinghy or beach it at the beach and then go for a walk along the top side here. But we decided to do this because it's pretty cool coming through here on the little dinghy. So thank you to whoever posted that on No Foreign Land, because we would have never known about it otherwise. Go for a swim? Go on then. Are you gonna go swimming? There's so many.
Millions.
There's tons of like these little glass fish here, and then this is the end. This is the end of the line. We saw some construction plans for this, and it just says snorkeling route, so I think that's all they were really doing it for. But then I guess nothing got built after that. All right, James is gonna row back.
Yeah, why not?
I've got my feet up. This is now the full lazy river. Hey guys. So one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, how do we have 2 dogs on board? How do they pee and poop on the boat?
So, great question. How do our dogs go pee and poo while we're on the boat and while we're under passage or at anchor? Well, Nat, she started these guys from 10 weeks old. They go on a piece of green grass, like fake green grass that we have on the bow that sits in a special tray. And we have a couple of them. And they essentially now pee and poo on that grass. They will do that all the time. They have actually a routine now. So when we first started, Nat would put a piece in the bathroom inside the boat and train them up on that. And then we slowly brought them out onto the bow. And now, under passage or while we're at anchor, they use that piece of grass on the bow. So I think maybe that's a benefit of having dogs on a boat when they're puppies, is you can train that from the very beginning. So we're very fortunate because we meet a lot of cruisers whose dogs aren't able to do that. They're under passage for a couple of days. The dogs just have to hold it. So that's how our dogs go pee and poo.
Another question was, what kind of boat do we have?
Anything talking about boats, I love. Nat knows this. And yeah, we have a 2010 Beneteau Oceanus 43. Ours is the American produced one, so we're a 110 volt. And it's white. It's got a new fold down transom, so we're actually 46.2 feet long now. And that's our boat. Oh, a lot of people are so confused by our nationalities.
It's all a little bit confusing, and everybody always wants to know what is going on. How many passports do you hold, James?
Well, I think you could call us the Bond couple, personally, because between Natalie and I, we have 6 passports. And great question, because we run a Canadian flag on the mast, we run an Australian flag. We used to have a Spanish flag up there. So, long story short, I was born in Vancouver, Canada, but I lived in Australia for more than half my life now, and I went to university in the UK, so that's all my nationalities. But the boat's registered in Canada because I'm Canadian, but I consider myself Australian because I've lived there for more of my life, and that's our home. That's where
And your dad?
And so yeah, so my dad's Australian, my mom's English, and yeah. And then Natalie's story.
So for me, I used to sound Australian. I think it's kind of going now, because whatever I listen to is what I end up sounding like. So we spent so much time in the US now that it's probably changed a little bit American, maybe, I don't know. But he's actually more Australian than I am, and I always get called out for being Australian, but I'm actually not. I do have citizenship there though, and we have lived there together now for quite a while. So I do consider myself a little bit Australian now, for sure.
And it's your home.
And it's my home, so that's where me and James decided to settle, and we both had jobs there, and I just absolutely love that country. We think of it as home for us. So I do have one passport from Australia. I have a passport, a British passport, thanks to my mom, and then my dad is Spanish, so I have a Spanish passport. And I actually grew up in Spain, in Madrid specifically. So I am bilingual in both Spanish and English. And
which leads us to another question you guys have asked a couple of times, which is, why is Natalie so fluent in Spanish?
well, that's why. Because I grew up in Spain, my dad is Spanish, and it's kind of, I think it's actually my first language because I learned Spanish before I learned English. So, yeah, so that's the story about our nationalities / passports / where we consider home.
Why we have so many flags on the
Why we have so many flags. It's all a little bit confusing, and we've definitely had a ton of questions about that. So hopefully that clears that up.
Oh.
Hello, are you coming to say hi? So another question we had was, do we ever plan to sail back to Europe?
It's a question we've wrestled with so many times. We've had that come across our table a few times. A lot of people ask us when we're just socializing as well. I guess the answer is we don't know, because every time we think we've made our mind up where we're gonna go, it changes. So I won't say no. Is it immediately gonna happen? I'm not sure, but you never know. Maybe with a different boat, but I don't know. We would love to return to Europe. It's perhaps one of our favorite places we have ever cruised so far, I think.
Yeah, I've got to say, I would definitely go back, because you just can't beat everything about it, like the food. And it's not so much about the sailing, is it? Because the Med was not the greatest place to sail.
It was tricky.
It was very tricky, but just the places you get to see, leaving your dinghy and you're right in the city or in some little town in Mallorca or Menorca, like it was just fantastic. And Greece, I mean, everywhere we went, Italy was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I think you can never say never. So this needs a bit of context, this question. This was from one of our previous videos where Kenny's boat, who is a dear friend to us, crossed the Atlantic at the same time we did, and then we met him in the Azores, and he ended up losing his boat in Formentera. If you haven't watched that video, go and watch it. It's a sad one to watch, but a lot of people asked us if he had had a snubber on, would that have saved his boat? So James, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so it's something we talked about in the video, and we highlighted the fact that Kenny didn't have a snubber on. So I guess one of the other questions too is, what is a snubber? There's no silly questions, of course, and a snubber is essentially another piece of line that attaches to your chain in some fashion. Should your windlass fail or something like that, then that line takes up the holding power. And so it's also not pulling on the windlass, because the windlass is not nearly as strong. And your windlass is very expensive, whereas line is much cheaper. So as cruisers or sailors, we put snubbers on every time we anchor, whether it be a bridle of 2 lines or a single line. So when Kenny had arrived, he had just put the anchor down. So when his windlass failed and all the chain spilled overboard, had he had a snubber on, it wouldn't have mattered if all that chain spilled over, because his snubber would have been attached to the chain, so the boat would not have gone anywhere. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Well, those questions.
We're outside of the limestone cut through there, and we've just come to the beach that's just around the corner, and we're gonna head back to the boat now. Hello, you're coming in. Hello, say hello. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Bobbies. Oh, go, go, go.